What if I told you that while everyone is out here fighting over overpriced trucks and flashy European SUVs that cost more to maintain than a small country, there are 3 Japanese SUVs sitting quietly at dealerships and used car lots, completely ignored, practically begging you to take them home. And they might just be the smartest car purchases you'll ever make in your life. Yeah, the secret is out. Or, well, it was a secret until now. My accountant hates me for making this video. Stick around, because by the end of this, you're either going to thank me or you're going to be very mad that you bought that German SUV last year.
All right, car number 1. And look, I need you to pay attention here because this one genuinely baffles me. This is the Lexus NX, a luxury SUV built by Lexus. You know, the brand that basically invented the idea of making a car so reliable it becomes boring? Yeah, that Lexus. And people are sleeping on it like it's a Monday morning after a long weekend. Here's the thing nobody talks about at the dealership. When most people go shopping for a used SUV, they walk straight past the Lexus NX and head directly towards something with a German badge on the hood. And listen, I get it. German cars look prestigious. They feel premium. They make you feel like you belong in a movie. But then 6 months later, you're Googling, "Why is my check engine light on again?" and crying into your coffee. We've all seen it happen. The Lexus NX, it doesn't do that to you. It just works. Day after day. Winter, summer, school run, road trip, grocery haul. It simply doesn't care. It shows up, like that one reliable friend everyone has who never cancels plans. Except this friend also has heated seats and a panoramic sunroof. Now let's talk about why this car is so underrated, because there are real, concrete reasons this thing deserves your attention. The NX was first introduced back in 2015, and from day one, it was built on Lexus's obsession with quality control. These cars go through an insane manufacturing process before they ever leave the factory floor. We're talking about a level of fit and finish that puts many brand new cars in higher price brackets to absolute shame. The interior materials, the panel gaps, the way every button clicks, it all feels intentional, deliberate, like someone actually cared when they put it together, because they did. And then there's the hybrid version, the NX 300H, and this is where things get really interesting. This powertrain is essentially bulletproof. Lexus has been refining its hybrid technology since the late 90s, and by the time it landed in the NX, it was already a mature, proven system. We're talking about a hybrid battery that regularly survives well past 150,000 miles without drama. In fact, taxi companies in several countries have run Lexus hybrids into the ground, literally hundreds of thousands of miles, and the hybrid components just kept going. If a taxi can survive that abuse, imagine what it'll do for your daily commute. The running costs are where this car really starts to look like the gold mine we mentioned in the title. Fuel economy on the hybrid model is genuinely impressive for an SUV of this size. We're talking real-world figures that will make you smile every time you pass a gas station. And because it's a Lexus, not a traditional European luxury brand, the maintenance costs are significantly lower than you'd expect for something that feels this premium. Servicing is straightforward, parts are widely available, and the reliability ratings from pretty much every major automotive survey consistently put Lexus at or near the very top, year after year. It's almost getting repetitive at this point. Almost. Honestly, if Lexus reliability were a student, it would be that annoyingly perfect kid in class who always gets straight A's and somehow everyone still likes them. Exhausting, but impressive.
Now, and this is important, the NX also holds its value extraordinarily well for a used car, which means 2 things. First, you're making a smart financial decision because depreciation is slow, and if you ever decide to sell, you won't feel like you've thrown money into a black hole. Second, and I want to be upfront with you here, it also means you won't find these dirt cheap. You'll pay a bit more than you would for a comparable Korean or American SUV. But here's the key word, comparable. Because once you factor in lower fuel costs, lower repair bills, and the sheer peace of mind of driving something that simply doesn't break, the math starts working very much in your favor. The interior deserves a special mention too, because stepping inside an NX feels genuinely special. The driving position is commanding without being truck-like, the cabin is quiet, almost eerily quiet, and the overall experience is one of calm confidence. It's not trying to be flashy or loud, it's just refined. And that refinement doesn't fade after 6 years of ownership. These interiors age incredibly well. Now, because I respect you and I want you to walk away from this actually informed, let's talk about the things you need to watch out for when buying one of these. Because no car is perfect, and the NX does have a few quirks you should know before you hand over your money. The first one is the infotainment system, specifically on earlier models between 2015 and 2017. Lexus made the baffling decision to use a touchpad-controlled interface called Remote Touch. And how do I put this gently? It's the automotive equivalent of trying to write an email while someone is shaking your hand. It's not great. It works, but it takes getting used to, and some people never truly make peace with it. The good news is that later facelifted models from 2018 onwards improved this significantly. So if infotainment matters a lot to you, aim for a post-facelift version. The second thing to check is the transmission behavior on the non-hybrid models. The CVT gearbox, which is a continuously variable transmission, can feel a bit sluggish or rubbery under hard acceleration. It's perfectly fine in normal driving, smooth actually, but if you're someone who enjoys spirited driving, it might not give you the most exciting experience. It's built for comfort and efficiency, not for pretending you're in a rally stage. Third, and this applies to any used luxury car, always check the service history. A well-maintained NX is a treasure. A neglected one, even a Lexus, can surprise you. Look for consistent oil changes, check the condition of the brakes, and if you're buying a hybrid, it's absolutely worth getting the hybrid battery health checked by a mechanic before purchase. It's usually fine, but it's always worth the peace of mind. And finally, check for any signs of the previous owner having used non-Lexus or low-quality parts during maintenance. Some owners, trying to save money, skip genuine parts, and on a car designed with such precision, that can sometimes create small but annoying issues down the line. But here's the bottom line on the Lexus NX. This is a car that gives you genuine luxury, exceptional reliability, low running costs, and a driving experience that feels far more expensive than what you'll pay for a used one. It's the kind of car your neighbor drives, and you assume they're doing really well financially. And then you find out they bought it used for a fraction of what a new German SUV would cost. And suddenly, who's the smart one? The Lexus NX is patient. It's waiting for the right buyer, someone who does the research, looks past the badge snobbery, and recognizes actual value when it's sitting right in front of them. Could that be you? I think it could.
Okay, car number 2. And before I even say the name, I want you to think about something for a second. When was the last time you heard someone say something bad about a Mazda? Take your time, I'll wait. Yeah, exactly. You can't think of one because it basically doesn't happen. And yet somehow, the Mazda CX-5 remains one of the most overlooked, underappreciated, criminally undervalued SUVs on the used car market today. And that, my friend, is precisely why we're talking about it right now. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you walk into a used car lot. On one side, you've got a mid-size SUV with a flashy badge, a big price tag, and a repair history that reads like a medical journal. On the other side, quietly sitting there, looking almost too good for its price, is the Mazda CX-5. Clean lines, sharp design, the kind of car that makes people turn their heads in a parking lot and genuinely ask, wait, is that new? And the answer, 3 years later, is still somehow yes, because this thing simply does not age. The CX-5 arrived on the scene in 2012, and from the very beginning, Mazda made a decision that set it apart from almost every other mainstream SUV manufacturer at the time. They decided not to chase volume, not to cut corners to hit a lower price point, not to water down the driving experience to appeal to the widest possible audience. Instead, they built a car they were genuinely proud of. And the result was something that sits in this fascinating sweet spot between affordable and aspirational, a car that drives better than it has any right to at its price, looks more expensive than it actually is, and refuses to let you down when you need it most. Let's talk about the way this car drives, because this is where the CX-5 genuinely separates itself from the competition in its class. Mazda has this engineering philosophy they call Kodo, which translates roughly to soul of motion. And it isn't just about how the car looks, though it does look absolutely stunning. It's about the entire experience of being in the car. The steering is precise and communicative in a way that mid-size SUVs almost never are. The suspension soaks up road imperfections without making the cabin feel floaty or disconnected. You sit behind the wheel of a CX-5 and you feel like the car is genuinely talking to you, responding to your inputs, working with you rather than just carrying you from A to B like a very expensive shopping trolley. And if you think I'm being dramatic, go drive one this weekend. Then come back and tell me I'm wrong. I'll be here. Now let's get into why this car is such an intelligent used car purchase, because the numbers genuinely tell a compelling story. The CX-5 has consistently ranked among the highest in reliability surveys across the automotive industry, not just for its class, but overall. The engines Mazda uses, particularly the Sky Active range, are some of the most thoughtfully engineered power plants in the mainstream market. Mazda spent years developing this engine family with a specific focus on efficiency, longevity, and simplicity. Less complexity means fewer things to go wrong, and fewer things going wrong means more money stays in your pocket and less time is spent staring sadly at your car in a mechanic's meeting room. The 2.5-liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder is the engine you'll find most commonly in used CX-5s, and it is genuinely one of the great unsung heroes of modern automotive engineering. It's not the most powerful engine in its class, Mazda never claimed it was, but it delivers smooth, linear power that feels more than adequate in real-world driving, returns solid fuel economy for an SUV of its size, and has a track record of durability that makes long-term ownership essentially stress-free. These engines, when properly maintained, routinely push past 200,000 miles without major mechanical drama. That's not a rumor, that's a pattern that shows up across owner communities, independent reliability studies, and mechanic feedback consistently and repeatedly. The interior is another area where the CX-5 punches well above its weight class. From the second generation onwards, particularly the 2017 refresh, Mazda made a conscious effort to elevate every single material and surface inside the cabin. Soft touch panels where your hands actually rest, stitching detail on the dashboard, a clean, logical layout that treats the driver like an intelligent adult rather than someone who needs 17 buttons and a touchscreen the size of a cinema projector just to change the radio station. It feels premium, genuinely premium, not fake premium where they put a chrome strip on something and call it luxury. Actual, thoughtful, well-executed premium. And here's something that often gets overlooked when people are comparing SUVs in this price range. The CX-5 has one of the best driving positions and visibility profiles in its segment. You sit in just the right place, the windows are sized correctly, the pillars don't create those annoying blind spots that make city driving feel like an obstacle course. It sounds like a small thing, but after 6 months of daily driving, these details matter enormously to your overall enjoyment of the car. Safety credentials are outstanding too. The CX-5 has collected top marks in crash testing from major safety organizations across multiple generations, and from around 2017 onwards, the standard safety technology package is genuinely impressive. Automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, all the features that on competing brands you'd have to tick expensive option boxes to get. Mazda just included them because apparently they thought your safety shouldn't be a premium add-on. Revolutionary concept. Now, and we always do this because I actually want you to make a smart decision, let's talk about what to watch out for when you're shopping for a used CX-5, because there are a few things worth keeping your eyes open for. The first-generation CX-5, from 2012 to 2016, had some reports of excessive oil consumption on the 2.0-liter variant in particular. It wasn't universal, and many owners never experienced it at all, but it's worth checking oil levels carefully and asking the seller about consumption history. A quick inspection and a look at service records will tell you a lot here. On certain earlier diesel variants, which are more commonly found in European markets, there were some isolated reports of injector issues over high mileage. Again, not a widespread epidemic, but worth a mechanic's look if you're considering a high-mileage diesel example. The infotainment system in first-gen models can feel dated now, and the screen resolution isn't going to win any awards. It works, it connects, it does the job, but if you're coming from a newer car, you might notice the difference. Jumping into a second-gen, 2017 onwards, largely solves this, and the MZD Connect system, while not perfect, is a significant step forward. Also worth checking, as with any used SUV, is the condition of the rear differential in all-wheel drive variants. It's not a common failure point, but any signs of leaking fluid or unusual noise during a test drive should be investigated before you sign anything. And one final thing, the CX-5 is popular, which means there are a lot of them out there on the used market, which is mostly great news because prices are competitive and choice is abundant. But popularity also means some examples have been driven hard by owners who knew they could always sell it easily. So, always check service records, run a vehicle history report, and if possible, get a pre-purchase inspection from an independent mechanic. 20 minutes and a small fee from a trusted mechanic can save you thousands every single time. But when you find a well-maintained CX-5, and you will, because there are plenty of them out there, you will have found something genuinely special. A car that makes you look forward to your commute. A car that handles a mountain road just as confidently as it handles a supermarket car park. A car that your passengers compliment and your bank account quietly thanks you for. The Mazda CX-5 is what happens when an automaker decides to build something they actually believe in. And the used car market hasn't fully caught up to that fact yet, which means right now, today, is still a brilliant time to take advantage of that gap before everyone else figures it out.
All right, car number 3. And this is the one. This is the one I knew was going to divide the comments section the moment I decided to include it. Because the Mitsubishi ASX is arguably the most underestimated, most unfairly dismissed, most quietly competent compact SUV that the used car market has produced in the last 15 years. And most people walk right past it without a second glance, which, and I cannot stress this enough, is an absolutely magnificent opportunity for everyone watching this video right now. Let me be honest with you for a second. When most people hear Mitsubishi, one of two things happens. Either their eyes light up because they remember the legendary Lancer evolution and they immediately respect the brand on a deep, almost spiritual level, or they tilt their head slightly, squint, and say something like, "Do they still make cars?" Yes, they do. And they've been making this particular one since 2010, quietly, consistently, and without nearly enough credit. The ASX, known in some markets as the Outlander Sport, entered the world at a time when the compact SUV segment was just beginning to explode in popularity. And rather than rushing out something flashy and forgettable to chase trends, Mitsubishi did what Mitsubishi has always done best. They built something robust, something sensible, something engineered with a level of mechanical straightforwardness that makes long-term ownership genuinely pleasant rather than perpetually anxious. This is not a car that's trying to impress you at a dinner party. This is a car that's going to show up for you at 7 in the morning in the rain for the next 10 years without complaint. And honestly, that deserves far more respect than it gets. The foundation of why the ASX earns its place on this list comes down to one thing above all else: Mitsubishi's absolutely obsessive relationship with drivetrain durability. These are the same engineers who built the Pajero, which spent decades being absolutely tortured across some of the harshest terrain on the planet and kept coming back for more. That DNA doesn't disappear when you scale things down to a compact crossover. The mechanical components in the ASX,
The engine, the transmission, the all-wheel drive system on equipped variants are overbuilt in the best possible sense of that word. They're not fancy. They're not trying to be clever or cutting edge. They're just deeply, stubbornly reliable in a way that makes ownership feel genuinely low stress. The 2.0-liter four-cylinder petrol engine that powers the majority of ASX variants you'll find on the used market is one of those motors that seems almost allergic to drama. It's smooth, it's unpretentious, it starts every single morning without negotiation, and it has a documented history of high-mileage durability that puts many of its competitors to shame. Owners regularly report crossing 150,000, 180,000, even 200,000 miles with nothing more than routine maintenance, oil changes, filters, brakes, tires, the kind of expenses that remind you a car is a machine, not a bank account with wheels. Mechanics who work on these regularly often describe them with a kind of quiet appreciation, not because they're exciting to work on, but because there's usually very little actually wrong with them. And from an ownership perspective, that is genuinely priceless. You know a car is special when your mechanic is slightly disappointed to see it because there's nothing to fix. That's the ASX experience right there. The all-wheel drive system deserves a specific mention because it's one of the genuinely underrated strengths of this vehicle. Mitsubishi calls it their 4WD Super Select system on higher spec variants. And while the ASX version is a more accessible interpretation of that technology, it's still meaningfully capable in conditions where a front-wheel drive crossover would start making very concerning noises. Light off-road, gravel roads, snow-covered streets, steep, muddy driveways, the ASX handles all of it with a confidence that belies its modest appearance and modest price tag. It's not a hardcore off-roader, and it never claimed to be, but it is genuinely more capable than it looks, and that's a gap that regularly surprises first-time owners in the best possible way. Inside the cabin, the ASX won't blow you away with opulence, and that's actually fine once you recalibrate your expectations correctly. What it offers instead is space, genuinely impressive space for its footprint, a practical, logically arranged interior that prioritizes function without feeling clinical, and a build quality that holds up over time rather than developing rattles and squeaks the moment the warranty expires. The visibility from the driver's seat is excellent. The ride quality is composed and comfortable without being soft to the point of feeling vague, and the overall experience is one of honest, uncomplicated competence. It does everything it promises, nothing more, nothing less. And in a world full of over-promising and under-delivering, that is quietly revolutionary. Running costs on the ASX are where the financial argument becomes almost impossible to ignore. Parts availability is strong, servicing costs are competitive, insurance tends to fall in a very reasonable bracket given the vehicle's size and profile, and gas consumption on the 2.0-liter petrol is respectable for an SUV with genuine all-wheel drive capability. When you add all of that up and stack it against the purchase price of a clean used example, the value equation starts looking very, very attractive. This is a car that doesn't demand much from you financially once you've bought it. It just wants fuel, regular oil, and the occasional filter change. That's the deal, and it's a good one. Now, because transparency is something we take seriously here, let's walk through the things you absolutely need to check before buying a used ASX, because being informed is how you go from a smart purchase to a brilliant one. The CVT Automatic, which features on a number of ASX variants depending on year and market, is something worth paying attention to. The CVT itself is generally reliable when properly maintained, the critical word being maintained. A CVT that has had its fluid neglected over high mileage can develop a characteristic shudder or sluggishness under acceleration. It's not necessarily catastrophic when caught early, but it's the kind of thing that becomes more expensive the longer it's ignored. When inspecting an ASX with a CVT, do a thorough test drive, pay attention to how the transmission behaves under load, and ask specifically whether the CVT fluid has ever been changed. If the seller doesn't know, factor that service into your budget. Rust is the second thing to check carefully, particularly on examples from colder climates or coastal areas where road salt and salt air accelerate corrosion. Check the wheel arches, the underside of the door sills, and the undercarriage. Earlier models from 2010 to 2013 in particular can show their age in these areas if they weren't well looked after. A clean undercarriage on a well-maintained example is a genuinely reassuring sign. Some owners of earlier models have reported minor issues with the air conditioning system over time, specifically the compressor on very high mileage examples. It's not universal, but it's worth testing the air conditioning thoroughly during your inspection, particularly if you're buying in a warmer season when you'll actually depend on it. Also check the condition of the rear suspension bushings on higher mileage examples. They wear over time on any vehicle, but replacement is relatively inexpensive and straightforward. A mechanic will spot it immediately during a pre-purchase inspection. Speaking of which, always get that independent inspection done. A couple $100 and an hour of your time is the best insurance policy you can buy before signing over your money. And finally, later ASX models from around 2016 onward received meaningful updates to the interior technology and safety systems. So if connectivity features and driver assistance technology matter to you, aiming for a later example will give you a noticeably more modern experience without dramatically changing the price tag. But here's the truth about the ASX, stripped of everything else. This is a vehicle built by engineers who understood that reliability is not a marketing feature, it's a promise. And Mitsubishi kept that promise, year after year, quietly, without fanfare, without viral campaigns or celebrity endorsements or dramatic Super Bowl commercials. Just solid, honest, durable engineering, wrapped in a package that costs less on the used market than it has any right to, given what it actually delivers. People ignore the ASX because it doesn't shout. It doesn't try to make you feel cool or powerful or like you're living in an advertisement. It just works. And one day, possibly soon, as more buyers start doing the research that you're clearly already doing by watching this video, the rest of the market is going to catch up to that reality, and the prices are going to reflect it. So, the window of opportunity you have right now, today, to get into one of these at genuine bargain pricing, it won't stay open forever.
And that's a wrap on our 3 hidden Japanese SUV gold mines: the refined and rock-solid Lexus NX, the driver's SUV that refuses to age, the Mazda CX-5, and the quietly unstoppable Mitsubishi ASX. 3 completely different personalities, 3 completely different ownership experiences, but all 3 sharing one very important thing in common. They are all dramatically better value than the market currently gives them credit for. And now you know why. If this video saved you from an impulse purchase you'd have regretted, or pointed you towards something you'd never considered before, do me a favor and hit that like button, because it genuinely helps more people find this channel and make smarter decisions with their money. And if you've got a friend who's currently about to buy an overpriced, overcomplicated SUV they can't actually afford, share this with them. You might just save their bank account, and possibly their sanity. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we do this regularly, digging through the used car market, cutting through the noise, and finding the vehicles that actually deserve your attention and your hard-earned money. The next video is already in the works, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Until then, buy smart, drive happy, and for the love of everything good in this world, please check the service history before you sign anything. See you in the next one.